I wanted to make a video on the science of making money, especially in physical science. I got some equations here, like the integral of physics over the dollar sign. And one classic example is, for example, the Costco hot dog, which costs only $1.50 to get you in the door, is this amazing enhancer, and then everything else that you can stack on top of it to be able to essentially get a customer to have a high value. And well, we want something like that for physical science, right? Wouldn't that be nice? And so I think that all of us are probably interested, especially if we're in physics or any physical science, are probably all interested in how to make a larger income, increase our income, and make more money. And so that basically begs the question, how to make more money with physics? And I'm not just talking about a regular day job because clearly that's, you can always get that, but that's not really what I'm talking about. So the first thing that we can think about is statistical predictions. And statistics are going to be a forte for physicists. What I mean is you want to be able to analyze data sets, large data sets, and figure out what the risks are of that type of data if you're trying to make some kind of investment or something like that, especially for like the stock market and stuff like that. And you want to be able to use moving averages and standard deviations to sort of understand how this works. I guess I can kind of go over to this chart right here because we kind of have this movement in the price here, and realize that if you're tracking this with some kind of a standard deviation line, we'll do it in purple, or sorry, there's a moving average line. It would be something like this maybe, and it's trailing a little bit below because this is kind of how an uptrend works. It tends to come back and bounce against this moving average line, and so there's just sort of a statistical deviation here that we can kind of say when it gets really far away from this average, realize that this is a good chance to be able to sort of maybe take some profits if you were ahead. Or on the flip side, if this happens to come somewhat very kind of far down below the line right here, if it's on an uptrend, then these might be some opportunities to maybe get into the stock because it's more likely to be going up from here, from these points, and more likely to be coming down from this point because, well, this is the average line. And so if you get further away, then it has this sort of a pull. And we call this the spring force, really. Or it's not really the spring force, it's the, a reforming force. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a force that kind of pulls you back in towards the center. In fact, these arrows should be kind of really pointing inward. All right, it's the restoring force. Ah, that's correct. Restoring force. This is exactly what the moving average lines do. So that is all about statistical predictions. Uh, so sometimes you can find a way to make money in the stock market, but the problem is that the market conditions can change. And so your edge may not always last forever. It's important to keep kind of trying to uh, change that and fix things. In fact, that's the next step is actually optimization and reverse engineering. As you can see, when you have something that's working, there are always ways to improve it, and usually this requires some optimization or reverse engineering, maybe some competitor products or something. So one of the most important things is to try to get greater results for people, whatever you're trying to do. So, it could be, teaching, for example, in the sciences or whatever. We'll go into some other things that we can do. The idea is that you're looking to try to get a higher chance of success for your clients, your students, whoever you're working with. That's another really important thing. How you increase the chance of success. The third one is how can you get results faster, right? And of course, how can you get results at a lower cost? So if you can find ways to optimize and somewhat reverse engineer this sort of four-step process, then you can really bring a lot of value to the table. And I used to run guitar lessons, like a guitar lessons business, and I would constantly be trying to think of ways at home. I was like thinking it was in the perspective of the student and how they would be feeling, and then doing a lot of trial and experimenting on myself to be able to play better. And then I would sort of bring that in to the lessons and sort of demise and reverse engineer. to try to get better results for people. The next thing that we can do is build a specialized business model or business models. As you can see, there's a lot of different types of things that we can do in industry. You can got like biology things here. You kind of have like maybe physical fitness things here, something like that. Maybe some advanced astronomy towers or something. Science, nuclear reactors. I don't know what kind of stuff. There's all sorts of things that we can do in businesses. And so you want to find a one of the fields that you might choose. I don't know what field you're going to be in. But let's say you might be a programmer or a mathematician or maybe an engineer or there's chemistry, there's physics, biology. All these topics are all sort of physical sciences in my book. And all of these can be sort of interdisciplinary, but they all have some kind of a service or some kind of a skill that they sort of have. Programmers, mathematicians, and shit, these all have services, skills, talents, things that you can sort of exchange. And maybe it requires your ability to be there, right? So you might have to be there to do this kind of work. But if you want to build a business, you're going to need to create products so that it's not just a job. So if you're only offering the services, it's more like a job. If you start to build and package your services and make them into products, either physical products or digital products, then you can start to grow a business. And the key also is to understand the differences between the online and the offline business. Because, well, offline is going to be much more high successful in terms of conversion, results, and just to run it is going to be a little easier, I guess. But the online businesses, those can scale very quickly, and they require kind of a little bit of hands-off. They might require much more time investment. So that's kind of an issue here. And the offline businesses tend to require much less time investment and kind of get you started immediately, versus the online and like, this is basically just like a job, right? Whereas the online businesses are a little bit more difficult to build. Um, so this is essentially the model that I'm using to build the M theory laboratory. And we cover all sorts of things. You get this the nuclear physics, the quantum physics. We're doing a study pack. We're also doing career uh, outline. So there's all sorts of cool products that we're doing at the M theory laboratory. And the fourth important concept of making money is going to be understanding the differences between informational, informational, theoretical, and experimental physics. So a lot of times we have to choose whether we're going to be doing experimental physics or theoretical physics. But there's also a concept maybe called informational physics because for whatever science you're in, you can say, okay, well, what's the actual truth, legitimate, that's actually been established that we already know? And you can just kind of do reports on that kind of information. It's kind of more like the teaching side of things. The theoretical thing is much more interesting because here there's a lot of theories that we might be able to just come up with in our own minds. And sometimes we might look to publish those in some kind of a journal or something. But we don't have to always get peer reviews for stuff that we publish. We can, but we don't have to. And so one of the cool things is just to be able to learn how to sort of put out your theories into the world. And the experimental side is more kind of like, okay, so now we have tested some stuff, we've got some projects, we have an experiment, we know it works. We kind of need more investing here to be able to build it into a more like an engineering type product. So we kind of have a prototype that we're trying to get investors for. So one important thing you need to do is use scripts. So you might have a script for your lab reports, a script for your story, if you're trying to write articles or make lectures. You have a script for your presentation, kind of a little bit like I have a script here for my presentation. Um, and with all these, you have to kind of look at the analytics. So I've been trying to improve my presentations by using analytics and seeing sort of where people are sort of dropping off or paying more attention. So these are the kinds of things, especially if you put them onto the internet where you can read the analytics. And then this honestly actually takes us all the way back to the beginning, where we have to sort of take data analysis and figure out what the statistics are of things working. So for a few months, I was actually enrolled in the Wolf of Wall Street's online sales program. The Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, but he always had this saying: you have to read from the script without sounding like you're reading from the script. Now, hopefully, I'm coming off a little bit like that because I'm clearly reading from a script here. But I don't know if you can tell from sort of my tones that, I found sort of ways to be a little bit more conversational when I'm reading from scripts, by sort of going on and off the script slightly here and there. Um, all right, going back to sort of a recap here, these are the high value skills that you want to be developing as a physicist, as a scientist. Um, Statistical predictions using analyzing data sets, risk analysis, moving averages, standard deviations, optimization and reverse engineering to find better results, higher chances of success at faster and lower cost. How to build business models within your specialized field by taking your services and turning them into products using online or offline methods. And the informational, theoretical, and experimental sides of science and building scripts that will help to present this stuff in a better, more effective way, and using analytics, again, sort of over here, this nice little, uh, this nice little wheel to be able to really massively increase our value. So this is kind of how you'd be able to become the high value physical scientist, the super rocket man or Iron Man type of character, like maybe a Elon Musk or something of our new age, or sort of learning how to innovate and make cool rockets and stuff, and make better machines and write better publications and learn how to beat the stock market. This is all crazy stuff, man. And yeah, so I like physics. If you want to learn about mechanical physics, I got a free download that you can check out. This can basically be a little cheat sheet on mechanical physics, kind of a complete guide. You can save time. It's a little efficient review. And we've got some upgrades. You can get the nuclear physics chapter along with it. You can get the quantum physics course along with it, or you can even get the study pack along with the mechanical physics free download. Although these are all upgrades, so they might have a little bit of a cost associated. But anyway, thank you all for watching. This is at physicsformulasheet.com. Go and check it out.